was a problem before. We reached an understanding that there should be a full exchange of information, both sides, questions asked, answers provided where they are, and that the political dialogue would continue in its formal form later this week on the 11th of July. I'll just add, we raised not only obviously the cooperation issues, but a whole range of regional security issues and governance issues here, Gambia, human rights issues, and all these will be taken up and pursued in continuing dialogue.
But it starts 11th of July?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Nicholas Westcott, European Union Managing Director for Africa, after a meeting with President Jammeh. Women empowerment is one subject that took center stage in a recently held meeting of the Global Power Women Network Africa in Nigeria. Hundreds of delegates from countries around Africa delved into a myriad of issues like HIV/AIDS, women's empowerment, among others. This report looks at how the Gambian delegates fared in Abuja. That continues to attach great deal of importance to women and their welfare. The Gambia's participation in this year's Global Power Women Network Africa was just very engaging. At the center of sessions involving the Gambian delegation was Vice President Jai Sedin, the very epitome of the country's women empowerment drive. One such panel was the one on gender equality, equity and empowerment as they relate to health, education and HIV/AIDS.
We in the Gambia believe that the issue of gender equality, equity and the empowerment of women cannot be addressed without addressing where the root causes are. First of all, if it comes to programs, we have to start at the policy level. You have to convince the policymakers first and foremost to be convinced that gender is critical, it's important. The rest of society, starting from the household level, you also have to convince them that indeed gender is critical, women are important, and they can make a difference. At the national level, you have to convince everybody else, especially our people involved in development, our economies, our policymakers, and so on. Tell them that they stand to benefit to involve women in the development process. Convince them and show examples how development through women can result in development for all.
The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Fatou Mbaye, also presented a paper on gender statistics and the importance of disaggregated data.
Data is very much critical in ensuring accountability. This enables government and stakeholders in development to design appropriate policy, direction, and interventions. Accordingly, government resources are allocated for the implementation of programs as duty bearer to improve the lives of women and men as rights holders.
Without appropriate data, Honorable Mbaye indicated that gender mainstreaming will be done on the basis of trial and error. In an interview with TV Continental of Nigeria, the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs also pointed out that action must be the watchword after meetings like this.
When we come to the meetings like this, there are different opinions, different lessons of good practice, but we look at what is relevant to our situation. Because every country is different. We cannot all be the same. I cannot import from, for example, here, Nigeria, and just take it to Gambia like the verbatim. Yes, we may be similar, we may be in the same sub-region, but we have our differences. So what I always say is, when we come to this meeting, we share lessons of good practice, think globally, but when we go back home, act locally, because the environment is different, the resources are different, the priorities are different. So that's what we do.
Okay, so lastly, what's the way out for African women?
Well, the way out is that we have to come together. First of all, you have to mobilize together. There must be this massive, would I say, women's empowerment program, but that cannot be done without having a massive women's movement either. Women have to know that gender is their agenda. They don't put it on the backside. Because if women themselves are not in the lead, because it's our interest to be emancipated. It's not the interest of anybody else. So we have to be emancipated by making sure that we are interested in emancipating ourselves.
After a series of side events in the Nigerian capital, the second high-level meeting of the Global Power Women Network Africa culminated in the adoption of a communique at a dinner that also saw the unveiling of the network's new executive. National Assembly members have been taking turns to highlight major issues of concern like the need for public institutions to be accountable to the people and the welfare of the masses. Grts's Babkar Kamara was watching the adjournment debate and he now tells us more.
Standing up radiate challenge to make laws that have a direct bearing to their electorate. Parliament recessed for yet exhausting its business in the second legislative sitting of 2013.
Provision 9.4 reads, on the completion of business at the last sitting of each meeting, the majority leader or minority leader, or in their absence, any other member shall move a motion for the adjournment of the Assembly's signed die.
We had 3 bills. One was the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2013, the Financial Reporting Bill 2013, and the amendment to the Information and Communication Bill 2013.
He set the pace for the adjournment debate, with deputies expressing concerns over accountability of taxpayers' money, management of public institutions, and a better approach towards consumer products and services.
The Director General of Immigration has a role in the administration and the coordination of all visa arrangements, as it is so complex and governed by so many protocols, to which the Gambia Immigration Department is the lead government agency.
As a very, very difficult situation for those who are traveling from Banjul, Bara, and other parts of Nyomi. The condition of the ferries, we all know it. It's not something that is hidden. And please, let us not turn our backs or ignore the problem that is existing in that sea.
A box of matches was increased from, what was it?
$1 to $150.
$1 to $150, and they will tell us, you and I, that it was because of the VAT, and we just accepted it. So we allow them to take advantage of us.
Our businessmen are using VAT as a front to increase prices. As one of my colleagues rightly said, it's only in Ramadan when businessmen increase their prices. And these businessmen are largely Muslim people.
With increased price tax attached to consumables, deputies have expressed concern over the issue and implore on their electorate to be vigilant for increased prices not ascertained under the VAT code. Deputies have further expressed dissatisfaction over limited broadcasts of parliamentary sittings and inaccessibility of GRT signals in many parts of provincial Gambia.
The members would like to be seen on the screen, even with 1 or 2 voices, to be heard by their electorates, because they are complaining. They are complaining that what are you people doing there? We are not hearing you. And that doesn't help. So please, GRTS, double up your belt.
Every now and then the president is addressing Gambians. But to all of us, we are not gaining any benefit from that address. Whatever address, whatever message the president gives or gave, our people are not benefiting it. Because you can only have access to GRTS. So if GRTS signal is not reaching to those people, how can you have that messages?
The farmers, some of them are very worried. Where can they get or access fertilizer? If you talk to some officers, they will tell you fertilizer is available. But where can we access fertilizer? It's a big challenge and a big problem for the farmers.
With a unanimous decision, deputies thanked their minister, Honorable Balagaba Jahumpa, for overseeing all parliamentary proceedings and further alluded to President Jammeh's recent dialogue with the People's Store as exemplary in the accord of democracy and good governance. Babakar Kamara, GRTS.
Meanwhile, the general public is hereby informed that the National Assembly shall proceed on summer recess from Monday, 15 to 31st August 2013. A news release from the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly states that during this period, all businesses of the plenary and committees of the National Assembly shall be put on hold to enable honorable members to proceed on vacation accordingly. The dispatch adds, honorable members and the general public are hereby informed that the Assembly will resume its normal business effective Monday, 2nd September 2013. Members of the Gambia Association of Local Government Authorities and their colleagues from Zimbabwe and Ghana have commenced a 3-day consensus building workshop on the indicators of good governance. The program, held under the aegis of GALGA, is expected to lead to the implementation of a dynamic peer review mechanism. Our Ibrahim Ajada has more on that forum.
3-day peer review regional consensus workshop designed on the indications of good governance under the strengthening of transnational partnerships and networks for enhanced